and welcome to today's open Q&A session. I hope you can hear me all right. So today we'll be following last week's first release of the VTuber Studio, and we'll be explaining the Studio project a little more, so that you can customize your project and import your own levels and characters and kind of reuse some of these really powerful blueprints for you to build your own VTuber Studio. So a bit of information about the Off-World Live shared repository. Our repository is an Apache license open source Unreal project file repository on GitHub, and you are free to use this project, and you're also free to distribute this project for commercial and non-commercial work. The shared project will be community-led and orientated, and would be encouraging our users to collaborate and contribute to this project as well. So we've set up kind of different pull requests for you to contribute and add to our GitHub repository. But also our project files and assets are shared already on GitHub releases as well as Download Center. So you can clone our project from GitHub or download from the Off-World Live Download Center. And alongside this, we have our current open Q&A that we have weekly demos alongside knowledge base articles for us to talk about the VTuber Studio and different game development tips. And so if you've been following our Wednesday Discord sessions, we usually talk about media input and output from Unreal. We will also cover topics such as games packaging, character rigging, character customization, face and body capture options, as well as environments and assets. And so back to the VTuber Studio a little more. We'll be featuring today also in the VTuber Studio the vast capabilities of the live streaming toolkit we've been using for VTubers and live streamers. You'll be also able to explore the kind of streaming capabilities in editor as well as in game, so that this project is configured in a way for you to package into your VTuber Studio for distribution. This is also an open source project, of course, and a template for you to quickly create your own VTuber Studio or reuse some of these blueprints and widget blueprints. And our features include the OWL capture systems, so viewport capture, Cinecam capture, and 360 capture. In the Discord chat as well from today, I know that some of you are interested to know how in a package game you can use some of these toolkit capabilities to stream out, but also potentially use virtual webcams, spout NDI outputs, as well as streaming directly to different platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, so on and so forth. But you can also use our toolkit and package a game so that you can save videos to file if you want your user to do that. So that's also a very powerful capability engineered by the toolkit. We also have media input, so screen capture, spout, and NDI streaming input. More importantly, we've built this actor blueprint which acts as a controller for you to select the desired capture systems and their respective render targets and display materials. With this project, we also have live link activated, and with this also supported the project with a lot of example assets created by Jasper, myself, and Natalia. So we've got avatars, environment meshes, and materials for you to quickly create your own studio. So this week we will be following the VTuber Studio's release, but also talk about how you can clone the project from Download Center and GitHub releases directly. And later we'll be talking about persistent levels to swap out your favorite environments and to kind of import different levels from another project to the VTuber Studio. And so our first release is already up on Download Center, and it is also up on GitHub for you to kind of scan this QR code or click this link to download on GitHub. And so some of the dependencies you'll need for the project, you'll need the Unreal Engine 5.2 version. You'll also need Visual Studio for you to build the project, OBS to test kind of different streaming in and out via Spout, and our Spout plugin for OBS Studio, as well as NDI tools. And so when you download from our download center, all you need to do is unzip the folder, right-click on the U project to generate Visual Studio project files. In Visual Studio, build the solution, and then double-click, and you'll be able to open the project in 5.2. There will be an accompanying video on Download Center and different resources for you to kind of follow them to initialize the project. So that will be very, very easy. And let's start on today's tutorial. We will be talking about how you can first download the VTuber Studio project and clone the project from GitHub, or to download from the Off-World Live Download Center. So I'm just going to go into my downloads, and once you download the VTuber main zip file from Download Center, you can then extract it into this file. Once you have your project kind of extracted, all you need to do is go on the VTuberStudio.u project and right-click, and if you're on Windows 11, you'll have to show more options, and then to generate Visual Studio project files. It'll just have this pop-up window to generate project files, and then once that's done, which is now, you'll be able to see this new generated SLN file, and this is a solution file for Visual Studio to build the solution. So when you open and double-click the solution file, the Visual Studio window will be opened, and from here all you need to do is right-click on Solution VTuber Studio and click Build Solution. Once that's done, you can close the window and double-click on the U project, and that's it. That's it for you to clone and download the folder from our download center, and then initialize the project. So now let's say that you have another project that you've been working on for a while, and you really want to migrate these level and environment meshes from your existing project to our VTuber Studio so that you can stream out of your designed levels. For today's purpose, I have downloaded Jasper's virtual broadcast studio, and to migrate some of his levels into my project. And so just walking through the steps, if you have an existing Unreal file open, you can just select different levels that you want to migrate and right-click Asset Actions and then Migrate. Then you'll need to choose Destination Content Folder. So you'll have to navigate to the VTuber Studio's content folder. So for example, the path for me is GitHub, VTuber Studio, and click into the content folder and hit Select Folder. Next, in the VTuber Studio project, you can now go to the Levels panel and choose Add Existing Level. You should be able to see the imported level in the content browser, so you just have to select the imported level, and then make sure the eye is turned on so that the studio is visible. And then on Level Blueprint, we'll be copying one of the nodes and just changing it into the selected level. Make sure that's visible after it's loaded, and connect the nodes. So we'll be following these steps today and reproducing it from scratch. So I'm going to start now. So first of all, I'll need to go on Epic Games Launcher to open Jasper's project. So I already have this loaded up on my Unreal Engine, and I'm just going to double click and open that. So now the project's opening on my computer. I have two projects opened at the same time. So I have first the VTuber Studio over here, which I'm going to plonk on the right side of my window. Then I also have Jasper's project on the left. So in Jasper's Virtual Broadcast Studio, he has placed all these levels already in level prototyping. So here I'm going to select, I'm just going to choose 2 environments that I really like. So I think the OWL template studio is really good, and I might also use the OWL Studio A. So I'm just clicking on both of these levels and right-clicking on Asset Actions and Migrate. So here Unreal will already kind of bunch up different dependent assets to be migrated to my VTuber Studio project. So you can see there are materials, different meshes, and different textures already bunched up. And so I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to navigate to the VTuber Studio project into the content folder and hit select folder. Because we have some shared assets, I'm going to make sure those don't get migrated. So I'm going to hit apply to all and no here, but I'm sure you won't have the same issues. So now the migration has been done. I can now navigate to my VRM, so VTuber project, to make sure those are already imported. So now in level prototyping, I will see the 2 levels here. That's great. So I'm just going to save some energy and close off the virtual broadcast studio that I won't be using. So now we have the 2 levels already in our project. We can go and click to check on what they look like. So this is a really, really cool environment for me to plonk the VRM character in and kind of stream from this environment. Alternatively, I also have this blank template for me to continue building and adding environment meshes on. So for today, I think I will be using OWL Studio A because I think that's a really, really cool environment that Jasper has made. So navigating back to my level in VHVRM and in the Virtual Human VRM level. This is the original environment that I've designed. And in this project, we have something called persistent levels loaded up. So persistent levels allow you to load different levels into a kind of like meta bigger level. And so on the right here, there is a levels panel. If your project doesn't have it, you can simply go to Windows and select levels over here. So for convenience, I already have persistent levels set up. And as mentioned, all we need to do is click on this little drop down and add existing. In level prototyping, I'm selecting OWL Studio A. So this is the level that I'll be using and placing my VRM character in. You can see that the height and levels are slightly different, so we'll just be fixing that very quickly. Now I can hide the VTuber Studio environment so that the only kind of external environment I have is the OWL Studio A. And back to the outliner, you'll see that I have both the kind of like core capabilities in my outliner, but I also have Jasper Studio in my project. And now what I need to do is make sure that I'm selecting Studio 1, and I will go into Select All Descendants to make sure I'm clicking on just the environment meshes, just moving them around to make sure that the VRM is in sight. And I might also rotate potentially like this, rotate 90 degrees, just going back into the space and moving my character to the center stage. Obviously this will require some kind of like fixing and moving around, and I might need a table to hide the feet as well so that it's not awkward sitting down. But for the use of today's tutorial, let's just leave it like that and make sure that everything looks fine. So now if I press play, you'll notice that the environment hasn't changed just yet. And this is because we haven't changed which levels to be streamed and loaded in the level blueprint. So now I'm going to stop the game and go into the level blueprint. So just clicking onto the VRM editor, I'll be going into level blueprint. And in this level blueprint, I've clearly commented which parts of the blueprint is creating widgets and which parts are to initialize levels. So I'm just going to move everything to the right to make space for our nodes. I'm going to expand this little window here so that we can just going to do this. So there is one very key node that we'll be using today, which is the load stream level by object reference node. In this node, you'll be loading all the levels you need and then choosing whether you make them visible or not. So I'm going to duplicate this this nodes, and I'm going to just reconnect the nodes so that everything forms into a straight line. Here, what I need to do is, so the VTuber Studio Environment 1 is the environment from the original VTuber Studio, and we now want to hide it and make sure that's not visible after load. So I'm going to make sure it's loaded still, but I'm going to make sure that it's also invisible after load. On this duplicated node, I will be using the Owl Studio A, as mentioned. I'm going to make sure it is visible after load. And now I'm going to compile and save the level blueprint. Might take a while, but that shouldn't take too long. Okay, I've had this issue before, something to do with persistent levels. Might have to restart it, but it shouldn't be a problem. Right, so hopefully that's not going to be an issue. If not, I'm just going to quickly start. I have another branch on GitHub already set up, so I can quickly cheat and show you that that's working. Alright, so I'm going to quickly just maneuver and switch branch so that you can see what happens after the blueprint is done. In just a second. So now I'm just going to switch branch and leave my changes. Cool. And hopefully you'll be able to see it very quickly. So under VTuber Studio, and just double click. So the project that I'm opening is exactly the same, and I've just followed all the same steps to reproduce this result by adding an existing level, changing the level blueprint, and now you should be able to play. So this is the project, and I will be, remember having left some stash changes. Okay. I'm going to close it and restore. Okay, and open the project again. while the project is loading, what we're expected to see is that in here we can choose our Studio A and close the and hide the so I'll be hiding the VTuber Studio Environment 1. I'm just double checking that my level blueprint has two, so it doesn't have the two doesn't have the duplicator node. I'm just going to quickly reproduce this. Hopefully I don't have the same error. It's happened a lot with persistent levels. So right here. Our Studio A. Great. So it's compiled and saved, and same spot where we've left it off. Now when you hit play, you'll see that the environment has already changed, and you're streaming already from your new imported level. So I hope that's clear. Obviously, it doesn't. The character doesn't have any seats at the moment, or a kind of table or desk covering the legs. But here in this very quick kind of 5-minute walkthrough, you'll be able to import your level, add existing level into your persistent levels, and then change the level blueprint by just copying a node. So very quickly, now you've changed the environment for your stream. And so if you want to preview some of these, you can see that the 360 has captured also the new level that you've imported as well, which is really interesting. You can look at Dome Master, Cube Map, just to see. So hopefully this is a really easy tutorial for you to first clone the project, and then secondly to import your the kind of different levels you've been working on in different projects and drop that into the VTuber Studio. But yeah, hopefully this was useful, and please feel free to ask any questions and leave me any questions in the chat. But yeah, thank you so much. I see some updates in the project. Are these updates on GitHub? Yes, absolutely. So let me just go on GitHub now, on the VTuber Studio. So major update from... Yes, so from last week, I know that some of you have asked about how you had some issues potentially building the solution in Visual Studio. There was just one missing file that is now on GitHub as well. So on GitHub VRM for you, third party, ASSIMP, and then in the library folder and x64, you'll see that this was the missing file, but it's already back on GitHub. So if you just pull some of the changes, you should be able to build your solution now. I would really recommend you to clone the project and initialize LFS on your computer, because when you download the zip, it doesn't include any LFS objects at the moment, so you'll see that the project is very small. But if you clone using this URL on GitHub desktop, there will be no issues at all. You'll be able to kind of build your solution and open the project without any problems. So hope that's helpful. Other updates are simply potentially just updating the README so that you know what dependencies you'll need to download, as well as different. We've changed the different kind of instructions for unzipping and right-clicking to generate Visual Studio project files. So some instruction changes, but otherwise haven't pushed anything major into the main branch. But I've been working, next week I'll be working on audio so that we can stream audio in and out of the project as well. Still work in progress at the moment, but yeah, continue working on that. But yeah, I think some of you also had questions about save to file. I'm not sure if they're here today, but feel free to drop me any kind of questions if you are interested in a particular part of potentially customizing your levels or characters. If not, yeah, so I'm just going to leave this slide on for a bit to show you the level blueprint process. All you need to do is copy the node that's already in the level blueprint and place the node next to the original one, select the appropriate level that you've imported, make sure that's visible after load, and then also potentially turn off the original, so make sure that the original design level is invisible, and then connect the nodes, compile, save, and you should be able to use any imported level for your VTuber Studio project. And I think next week we can walk through how you can import your own Metahuman and change the VRM character into something else as well. So it'll be really exciting for those of you interested in kind of changing your character and making sure that's representative of your your VTuber presence. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I'll just be around in the background if you have any other questions, but feel free to let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for coming to this open Q&A session, and feel free to share, feel free to showcase some of the work that you've been working on, so that potentially there's quite a lot of cross-pollination into this VTuber Studio project as well. And again, you are also encouraged that if you have any pull requests, you can create a new pull request. You can create a new pull request. Let me see, I might have the slide over here. Open a new pull request and then explain the kind of like feature or fix you've been working on, and then just submit that. We'll be reviewing it and integrating those changes to our VTuber Studio project as well. So would really recommend doing kind of contributing to the projects as well. So Metahuman, you've asked. Yes. So we also have Metahuman in our project, and in the so if I move this VRM character a little, you'll see that we have also, trying to find the Metahuman character here. So you can also equally stream with this character, and this is already included in the project. You are free to also kind of add different Quixel kind of metahumans into your project, but you should be able to find Tori here. And next week we'll be walking through how you can import your own metahuman into the project and then stream and then build a VTuber studio with your character as well. But here's just an example of what we've dropped into this scene. They've got a really interesting suit on and some sunglasses, but we might down the line kind of create more assets for your metahuman to wear as well. Audio. Yes, so audio at the moment, we're still working on audio at the moment, so we will be including some kind of audio development in the next week. However, if you know about, so Spout only sends frames, so if you need to stream audio through OBS, you'll need to kind of configure audio settings on OBS. On virtual webcam, it's also only sending using sorry, I can hear myself with a bit of feedback. So virtual webcam, if you stream out of this game, at the moment, I'll just be doing a refresher on what kind of output systems we have. The widget's just going to pop up now. So we have different capture systems as mentioned, so viewport, Cinecam, and 360 cam. But then using different capture systems, you can also output via virtual webcam, spout sender, NDI sender, streaming to a platform, or media recording. And so for virtual webcam and spout, there is no sound with the output because spout only sends frames and webcam only takes the kind of render target into your webcam for different meetings or different platforms. For now, we're working on the audio that you can use to send NDI out, as well as potentially streaming and recording file with it. So that's going to be on the pipeline for next week or the week after. Yes. If you're having trouble with audio, you could also go on YouTube to revisit this this stream. But yeah, feel free to message if you have any questions and we'll be able to help out. But yeah, I'm really interested to know what you'd like to feature in the next upcoming demos so that we can work on that a little more. But again, yes, thank you everyone for attending today's open Q&A session. It's always really nice to share progress with everyone. But yeah, thank you so much, and feel free to continue dropping any questions. Yeah, I'll just be in the background a bit. Amazing, thank you everyone.